The Nigerian Banking and Capital Market Conference, powered by the Euromoney conferences for the year 2014, held its edition in Lagos. The focus for this edition was the new era of capital access, solutions to new reality. It brought policymakers and private sector players to discuss the way forward for Nigeria in terms of funding and also how this can change Nigeria's markets and transform the economy. Key stakeholders shared the views on the various aspects that covers the capital markets, the banking sector, capital for SMEs, agriculture, and even the outlook of the economy.
We are supposed to meet Basel II, and Basel III is coming up fast. And obviously, in the period between where the banks are trying to meet their capital adequacy ratios, they have to be very efficient in the way they deploy their resources. In the short period, yes, we will have to possibly reduce lending or be more efficient in the way we lend in order because there are different kind of lending that affects your capital. So in the short run, yes, but in the medium to long term, it gives you a more robust capital base which you can use to launch proper investments and lending to the real sector. So in the short term, yes, we will have to meet our ratios, but in the medium term, it's a good thing.
Clearly, the Nigerian Stock Exchange has a capacity, and not only has a capacity, it has actually demonstrated capacity for it. What now needs to happen is that the operators have to work really hard to ensure that they go all out into the market to bring about all these opportunities, package them very well, and bring it to the investing public. One key thing that the Stock Exchange has done that I'm happy about is the Extreme. And the Extreme has enabled we operators to be able to fix or deploy what's called a fix protocol. At Morgan Capital, as you know, you can trade not only online but real time, being that anywhere you are in the world, you can buy and sell shares directly into the Nigerian capital market without having to send out mandates, wait for a period of time. In fact, on our system, we always tell our clients to try it by buying some shares that they never heard before, and within 10 seconds, try to sell that same share. They will see that it actually happens. So that tells you that the exchange itself is ready, and we are quite very glad that that this is happening, because this is how the market should actually be in the world. And in terms of transparency, I think things are quite very transparent now. The other aspect of things which I would like also focus on, which is slightly beyond the stock exchange. The stock exchange has set up on its own part the SM board, which is meant to encourage little companies, the SMEs, to list. But I say the stock exchange cannot do more than that. What is now left for us is, as operators and as governments that want the development of our country, to fall in line and assist smaller companies not only to raise capital but also get listed on the exchange.
Now, as more people begin to show interest and they see that it's a viable economy to be in and the capital market represents perhaps at this point in time one of the critical avenues in which you can raise money apart from private equity funding, it is incumbent therefore on the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Nigerian Stock Exchange to look at things like the cost of raising funds. As we begin the wholesome changes and transformation that goes on, that's another aspect of it. As we talk about cost of raising funds, the process and the time it takes in completing documentation, it takes in filing, in getting approval, and issues around things like unclaimed dividends, which we've sorted out before, which will never occur again, like dividend issues. I think these are the real matters.
We have gone past the issues we had in 2008, 2009. A lot of work has been done to strengthen the market. I think we have a much more liquid, more accessible, more transparent market now. The rules around disclosure have been strengthened. The SEC and the stock exchange have done a lot of work to ensure that there's little tolerance, all right, for failure, for instance, to file reports on time or to provide the necessary disclosure, so that investors are fully informed and they are aware of the risk they're taking when they're investing in the market. And to a large extent too, I think there is also a strong undercurrent of de-risking the investments that come to the market. I mean, investment will still have risks, but I think there is a clear understanding that there are certain investor pools that should not be exposed to certain type of risks. So a lot of work has been done on both the equity side and the debt side to ensure that we now have a more prosperous, stable, viable, and attractive market, which encourages investors to come in. And the idea really is to attain a standard that's global. We are targeting a global standard.
Well, agribusiness is critical. In a new rebased economy, it contributes at least 22% of GDP, employs 60% of our population, and clearly with a population size of 170 million people who need to eat, agriculture is critical, not just for staple foods, but also for cash crops. It's a huge export opportunity for us. And agriculture is a business. So when you think about the entire value chain from farm to fork, the opportunities for all sorts of people, SMEs to enter the sector for employment creation, but it's critical for life and probably one of the most important sectors outside healthcare, education. I would say agriculture is the third most important sector in the economy.
Obviously, there is still a very huge gap. There is a large deficit in the residential segment, but quite a number of reforms have happened recently. Developers face some very serious challenges, legal, infrastructure, manpower, and things like that, But you'll see, if you notice recently, you'll see that there has been major upsurge in respect of retail and the commercial segment. Currently, there are about 15 shopping malls under construction in various parts of the country. So I think that in the next few years, we're going to have a large pool of shopping malls, and as channels become more and more formal, you're going to see a lot of people, taking a decision to shop local rather than going abroad. So I think that we've done relatively well in spite of the challenges in that respect.
We believe that the public and the private sector have a strong role to play as they continue to work in collaboration, ensuring that access to capital becomes an issue that is clearly given high priority to, considering the fact that this will create the necessary funding to tackle various sectors of Nigeria's economy, considering the huge demands and the prospect of becoming a key player in the globe.